Hello and welcome to the October 23rd, 2023 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick. We're brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, I started to invest in all of this, so I am finally putting money into making Nick's News even better. We're here usually every other Sunday, but due to a very long and arduous weekend, I did not run last night. I did not stream last night, but we are here on Monday. And I thank you all so much for either tuning in with me now or catching the replay on the Facebook page. That's right, we're here on Facebook Meta, whatever the hell it's called this week. We are cross-platforming over to YouTube, where we will be saving episodes of Nick's News. I'll probably be making like little shorts and clips as well from my longer episodes. And yeah, I am looking forward to getting into that. I think I gotta bump this over just a tiny bit. That's a little bit better. So, this is a program dedicated to bringing some good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing just a little bit of joy back into the world. Several of our articles are pulled from goodnewsnetwork.org, but we do also appreciate articles sent in by you, the viewers. So I see we've got Sean in. Audio sounds great. That's great to hear. We've got our nice Yeti mic, part of Some Budget Studios. Yeah, I think I've got the setup down. My news is going to be right here. I'm going to keep the comments over here. And yeah, I'll be looking here as much as I can, obviously, to be communicating with everybody. So for now, this is the setup. I might try to pull off a 3-monitor setup. Hey Tim, but for now we'll see. If I sound a little raspy, it is because I was out LARPing all weekend, and my voice is always shot after, and it was especially bad yesterday. And I was just the adrenaline dump hit me when I got home, and I was out. I could not do anything. I was not going to be good for an episode, so. That is true, Sean. You did get hit by a truck, and we're going to be talking about that. So, hi, Kendra. All right, so what is our... Heckin' LARP drop. So what is our news brew? So we have our news brew, and this week we are going to be imbibing Kalem Club. Now, Kalem Club is a 13.1% ABV, high octane. We're back in my type of beer range for ABV. It's a high octane Belgian Strong Dark Ale. It's bourbon barrel aged, and according to everything they've written on this can, it's ready to be thoroughly enjoyed. So let's crack this sucker open. We don't need the Balisong bottle opener, but it's a good crack. And the glass that I have selected for us tonight is my 100 Barrel Series Harpoon Tulip. Tulips are fantastic for Belgian strong ales, for actually many strong ales. So start getting the theatrics of a 5-minute pour in here. Again, getting all that gas out, because we don't want that gas in us while we do our news articles, while we speak the news, the good news. Wow. Wow. What is this color? Now, strong dark ales are usually very dark shades of brown and are very opaque. This is just black. This is like my Under Armour shirt black. Jeez. Smells incredible. So, Kalem Club from Trail Point Brewing. Oh, sorry, Sean. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that being a problem. My bad, buddy. So, we'll get to your situation in just a moment. For starters, for shout-outs, we got 3 shout-outs. The last one is a little bit of bad news, so be prepared for that. But first shout-out is to my brother Erik, who painted a mini for me. The mini needed to be black on black with tinges of black. It's a black dragon born for a D&D game that I'm in. And I hope the camera can catch just how damn cool this little mini is. Come on, focus on him. Erik did an unbelievable job with this mini, pulling off a dark color armor on a dark dragonborn. I am amazed with it. The craftsmanship and his ability to paint. Kendra, glad you made it through the LARP. But yeah, so I believed I had paid Erik accordingly for his work because he terribly undervalues himself and his work. But Erik wanted to get the last laugh in, so instead of just giving me a mini, he gave me an entire diorama to go with the mini. Complete with a river, a small bit of rustic, an old damaged watchtower, some skeletons on pikes, and one of the best parts of all, I mean, the craftsmanship of this, you got to look at all these plants. He did all the plants, the stone, the trees, and of course, a bonfire to illuminate the dragon that dwells here. This is unbefriggin-leavable, Erik. Thank you so much, brother. I love you. You need to understand the monetary value of your work, though. This is unbelievable. So, I'm going to turn that light off because I don't want to run that battery out. Yeah, this is just above and beyond. This is insane. I gotta real carefully put that back. Gosh. So to my brother Erik. Cheers and thank you, brother. I love you. Wow. That is like dark fruit and molasses. Oh my gosh, it's got a bourbon burn to it. Oh, that's a good beer. Okay. Next shout out we have is to Sean, our resident crap starter and peanut gallery member. Always trying to catch me up, and take me off guard, throw me off while I'm doing articles. And so Sean, one of our longtime watchers and the resident troublemaker, was involved in a vehicular accident while performing his duties in public transportation. Luckily, as you can see, the chief derailer, as you can see, is still with us, as he is posting in our comments. Got out of it with some pretty serious whiplash and some other injuries, but according to everything you've told me, Sean, you are expected to make a full recovery, and I'm very happy to hear that, considering that the accident was between your bus and a semi-truck. The semi-truck is completely at fault. Sean did everything he could, and yeah. So, Sean, glad you're okay, and we are all wishing you a speedy recovery and hoping for the best. So, cheers. I don't know if you can drink while you're on probably painkillers or other medication, so I will drink for you. And this last one is so this is the sad news. Nick's news is usually like in the intro. It's meant to be the good news that brings some joy back into the world, but that doesn't mean we are unaffected or immune to bad news. And it's important to get that bad news out there and present it because of the weight of it. And so For the sad news, we lost one of our longtime watchers recently. Some of you have probably seen MaryJane and John DeLuca posting in the comments during episodes. MaryJane is my cousin once removed, so she's my dad's cousin. And her husband was John DeLuca. And sadly, John passed away recently, peacefully, following a battle with surgical complications that he'd been dealing with for the last 3 months. John was an amazing man. I wish I had gotten to know him even better. And in MaryJane's words, he was her dearest husband, an absolutely wonderful and amazing, loving, brilliant, intelligent, compassionate, respectable, artistic, talented, and dashingly handsome man. My heart goes out to you, MaryJane, and John, rest in peace. So I'd like to do just a moment of silence for John DeLuca, and yeah, just. So, in memory of John, cheers. Sean's extensive laundry list of injuries incurred, but will be on the mend. So, welcome back, Kendra. Yep, a drink for John. So, that's gonna kind of segue us into the news quote. There's a lot of craziness going on in the world, so when I saw this quote for today, it was like, that's probably a good one for us to keep in mind in times like this. So what I chose for the news quote is as follows. It goes, "Life is short, even for those who live a long time, and we must live for the few who know and appreciate us, who judge and absolve us, and for whom we have the same affection and indulgence. The rest I look upon as a mere crowd, lively or sad, loyal or corrupt, from whom there is nothing to be expected but fleeting emotions, either pleasant or unpleasant, which leave no trace behind them. We ought to hate very rarely, and as it is too fatiguing. Remain indifferent to a great deal, forgive often, and never forget." That quote is from Sarah Bernhardt, who was a French stage actress of the 19th century. She was also known as the Divine Sarah, and was regarded as possibly one of the first ever worldwide stars of stage. So, life is short, even for those who live a long time, and we must live for the few who know and appreciate us, who judge and absolve us, and for whom we have the same affection and indulgence. The rest I look upon as a mere crowd, lively or sad, loyal or corrupt, from whom there is nothing to be expected but fleeting emotions, either pleasant or unpleasant, which leave no trace behind them. We ought to hate very rarely, as it is too fatiguing. Remain indifferent to a great deal, forgive often, and never forget. Thank you, Sarah Bernhardt. Cheers. Bug update. Everything's quiet on the bug front. There's not much to report, really. One of the roaches did have children, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that situation. The darkling beetles are doing well. I've got 2 more that have started the pupal stage, so we're going to see if I've got this down with raising these things. And yeah, all is all right in the bugverse. So did I notice something earlier was off? I don't think so. I think I had everything right in here, but I do need to open up my live stream, which is going to cause a little bit of a glitch as it starts to get itself set. And this is so that I can post in the comments. Oh, of course, it starts talking. Okay, so let's get. Oh, I hate looking at myself. Let's get into our actual news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and those wholesome notes that we like to end on, those real feel-good articles. So we're going to start off with category 1, science and technology. I called this first one, you gotta fight for your right to repair. And I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all would like to read along with me. Actual title: California passes Right to Repair Act guaranteeing 7 years of parts for your phone. GNN has reported often on improvements in consumers' rights to repair products, from phones to cars, where for decades it's become harder and harder to do so. Now, the California state government has passed a landmark law that obligates technology companies to provide parts and manuals for repairing smartphones for 7 years after their market release. Senate Bill 244 passed 65-0 in the Assembly and 38-0 in the Senate, and made California, the seat of so much of American technological hardware and software, the 3rd state in the union to pass the so-called right to repair legislation. Why is something like this good news? It's because technology moves so quickly in terms of smartphones, and these companies are absolutely hell-bent on the profit that comes from getting a new phone into your pocket, which means that phones, generations of phones, can be made obsolete, and parts and production of necessary materials and instructions will go out of date, around the time those phones start to be needing repair. And this is something that California is only the 3rd state to sign this into law, where these manufacturers have to be able to provide these materials and instructions 7 years after a phone has come out, to ensure that instead of you having to go buy another $1,200 phone, you can just get your old phone repaired if you don't want a new one. I've got an iPhone XR. I'm probably going to swap to like a Pixel or an Android on my next phone here, but a XR is old. XR is really old, but it still runs like a champ. I have no reason to replace it. So, on a more granular level, the bill guarantees consumers' rights to replacement parts for 3 years' time in the case of devices costing between $50 and $99, and 7 years in the case of devices costing more than $100, which is damn near all of the Androids and iPhones out there. With the bill retroactively affecting devices made and sold in 2021. So it actually is kicking off 2 years prior. Similar laws have been passed in Minnesota and New York, but none with such a long-term period as California. Accessible, affordable, widely available repair benefits everyone, said Kyle Wiens, the CEO of advocacy group iFixit, in a statement. We're especially thrilled to see this bill pass in the state where iFixit is headquartered, which also happens to be Big Tech's backyard. Since right to repair can pass here, expect it to be on its way to a backyard near you. One of the reasons Wiens is cheering this on is because large manufacturers, from John Deere to Apple, have previously lobbied heavily against right to repair legislation for 2 reasons. 1, it allows them to corner the repair and maintenance markets, and 2, it protects their intellectual property and trade secrets from knockoffs or competition, aka monopolizing. However, a byproduct of the difficulty of repairing modern electronics is that most people just throw them away. The ultimate end that consumers of many of these irreparable items are forced to make for them, they end up in landfills. So-called e-waste is a potentially catastrophic oncoming environmental problem, since it doesn't really biodegrade in any meaningful sense, and recycling it requires technical dismantling. The right to repair is also equally about keeping easily fixable devices out of landfills. The California bill isn't perfect, as Wines noted. It doesn't cut back on parts pairing, whereby hardware such as a battery is linked to a software ID from the device it came from, rendering certain features unavailable if repaired with a replacement outside the original manufacturer's purview. However, Wine added in the statement that he believes the California bill is a watershed that will cause a landslide of this legislation to come in the near future. So to iFixit, led by where was his name again? Kyle Wines, and to the state of California, my birth state, for passing a right to repair. Cheers. Ooh, I gotta close the door. I forgot. Sound's coming through. Okay. All right. Close that one up. All right. So we'll move on to our second article we've got in here. I call this one Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. And I will copy and paste this one in the chat if you all want to read along. All right. Breakthrough in recycling EV batteries can recover 100% of aluminum and 98% of lithium thanks to Swedish scientists. Leave it to the Swedes. She who must be obeyed. Yes, that is Ashley indeed. Swedish researchers say they have developed a new method of recycling batteries from electric vehicles that allows recovery of 100% of the aluminum and 98% of the lithium. Researchers at Chalmers University of Technology have presented the efficient way to recycle metals from spent batteries, and at the same time minimize the loss of valuable raw materials such as nickel, cobalt, and manganese. Furthermore, no expensive or harmful chemicals are required in the process because the researchers use oxalic acid, an organic acid that can be found in the plant kingdom. Yay, plants. So far, no one has managed to find exactly the right conditions for separating this much lithium using oxalic acid, whilst also removing all the aluminum, said Leah Roquette. Leah? That might be Leah Roquette, a PhD student in the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering. Since all batteries contain aluminum, we need to be able to remove it without losing the other metals. In the Chalmers Battery Recycling Lab, Roquette and research leader Martina Petranikova, jeez. Indeed. I did like this kind of back-to-back. Good catch, Sean. So in the Chalmers Battery Recycling Lab, Roquette and research leader Martina Petranikova showed how the new method works, taking the pulverized components in the form of a finely ground black powder and dissolving it with a transparent liquid, oxalic acid. Roquette produces both the powder and the liquid in something reminiscent of a kitchen mixer. Although it looks as easy as brewing coffee, the exact procedure is a unique scientific breakthrough. By fine-tuning temperature, concentration, and time, the researchers came up with a new recipe for using oxalic acid, an environmentally friendly ingredient that can be found in plants such as rhubarb and spinach. We need alternatives to inorganic chemicals. One of the biggest bottlenecks in today's processes is removing residual materials like aluminum, says Martina Petranikova, associate professor at the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering at Chalmers. This is an innovative method that can offer the recycling industry new alternatives and help solve problems that hinder development. I don't know. I thought that makeup removers were a base instead of an acid. I might be wrong. If you find that, let me know. The aqueous-based recycling method is called hydrometallurgy. That's a bomb-ass word. In traditional hydrometallurgy, all the metals in an EV battery cell are dissolved in an inorganic acid. Then you remove the impurities such as aluminum and copper. Lastly, you can separately recover valuable metals such as cobalt, nickel, manganese, and lithium. Even though the amount of residual aluminum and copper is small, it requires several purification steps, and each step in the process can cause lithium loss. With the new method, the researchers reverse the order and recover the lithium and aluminum first. Thus, they can reduce the waste of valuable metals needed to make new batteries. I think I've heard of oxalic acid before as well, but I don't know if it was like a biochem class or something that I probably took years ago. I don't think we've had it in an article until now, but I could be wrong. The latter part of the process, in which the black mixture is filtered, is also reminiscent of brewing coffee. While aluminum and lithium end up in the liquid, the other metals are left in the solids. The next step in the process is to separate aluminum and lithium. Since the metals have very different properties, we don't think it'll be hard to separate them. Our method is a promising new route for battery recycling, a route that definitely warrants further exploration, says Raquette, who published her results in the journal Separation and Purification Technology. Petronikova's research group is involved in various collaborations with companies to develop electric car battery recycling and is a partner in major research and development projects such as Volvo's Cars and Northvolt's NIBAT project. The research was funded by the Swedish energy agency Base Batteries Sweden Vinnova. That is really cool. So, to Leah Roquette, Martina Petronikova, and everybody at Chalmers, what was the whole name? Chalmers University of Technology for finding a new way to separate out the heavy metals from EV batteries for recycling. Cheers. Yeah, I think we'd have to do some digging on that one to figure out where we might have heard oxalic acid from before. I wonder if for the next one what I should do is if I should put the chat here. I wonder if I can swap these. I think I can. I'm still fine-tuning everything, obviously. We've still got, a lot of play. We're running with Streamlabs at least, so it's a lot more... I don't know. NIBAT sounded like a company, actually. So, yeah, we still got more play to do to, get this all up and running. But otherwise, we're doing pretty well here. Okay. So, that's going to take us out of our first category and into our second category, health and medicine. I called this first one, The First Bionic Person. So, I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all want to read along with me. Woman becomes first human to be fitted with nerve and bone-fused bionic limb. Bionic person, sign me up. I'll be a ghost in the shell. No, the NiCad, Sean, you're exactly right. NiCad battery life cycle is not fantastic at all. Separating that battery and breaking that down is a whole different mess of recycling. But yeah, you do have a... Hi, Charlie. You do have a titanium shin, but this is straight up cyberpunk. Leave it to the Swedes. A Swedish woman named Karen has become the first person to ever receive a below-the-elbow prosthetic that fuses bone with metal and electrodes. An incredible feat of robotics and biology, it's seen to represent an eventual gold standard of prosthetics and has encouraged the interdisciplinary science team to believe it will be available to other amputees in other circumstances in the future. Mechanical attachment and reliable control of prosthetic limbs are two of the biggest obstacles in artificial limb replacement, with many amputees opting to reject even the most sophisticated, commercially available artificial limbs due to fears of painful and uncomfortable attachment and limited, unreliable control. Karen lost her right arm in a farming machinery accident 20 years ago and was one of those who decided against existing prostheses. A multidisciplinary group of engineers and surgeons from Sweden, Australia, and Italy, aimed to solve these problems by developing a remarkable interface that fuses human and machine to allow the limb to be comfortably attached whilst enabling electrical connection with the nervous system. Called osseointegration, it's a process where bone tissue embraces titanium, creating a strong mechanical bond and enabling connection with the nervous system via electrodes implanted in the nerves and muscles. Karen, an engineer, says her groundbreaking bionic arm has reduced the terrible phantom pain she used to feel and has been life-changing in returning her capabilities in everyday life and regaining her independence. If Italian engineers keep coming up, I'm going to need a towel. In the years following her accident, she endured excruciating phantom limb pain and found that existing conventional prosthetic limbs were of little help in her daily life, as well as being uncomfortable. It felt like I constantly had my hand in a meat grinder, which created a high level of stress, and I had to take high doses of various painkillers, she said. I now have better control over my prosthesis, but above all, my pain has decreased. The surgery was done in December of 2018, and she started using the arm in mid-2019. Lead researcher Dr. Max Ortiz-Catalan, head of neuroprosthetics research at the Bionics Institute in Australia, as well as the Center for Bionics and Pain Research in Sweden, explained the fact Karen has been able to use her bionic limb for a number of years, and it was very encouraging. Karen was the first person with below-elbow amputation who received this new concept of a highly integrated bionic hand that can be used independently and reliably in daily life, said Dr. Ortiz-Catalan. Karen is now using somewhat the same neural resources to control the prosthesis as she did for her missing biological hand. So this is an incredible amount. This is an incredible feat of engineering and bioengineering in that the same neural resources that would have operated her original hand are operating her prosthetic hand. Bonkers. Oh gosh. No, Eliza. That is death. we're gonna get... Plus there would be a bias because if I knew that, I would be looking for articles that didn't have to do with engineering, so I just wouldn't get blitzed doing these. I mean, this is already a strong beer. This is 13.1%, so we don't need to be doing shots for engineers. I was thinking the exact same thing, Sean, is the fact that the limb helped reduce her phantom limb pain. That's crazy. That's a whole different breakthrough, regarding how our body interprets pain and sensations. So who knows what's going on there? Could it be that the interfacing of this bionic limb with her nerves is kind of making her brain realize the hand is there? Or who knows? I'd have to start looking at the journals for this one. That's really cool, though. The main challenges facing the researchers at this level of amputation were the two bones, the radius and ulna, that should be aligned and loaded equally, and the fact that not much space is available for implanted and prosthetic components. However, the team managed to develop a suitable neuromusculoskeletal implant that allows connections between the user's nervous system and the electronic control system of the bionic limb, which Dr. Ortiz-Catalan says is responsible for the reduction in pain. So they are claiming that the linkage between the hand's electrodes And the nerves that specifically ran the hand, that's what's causing the phantom limb pain to go away. That's crazy. Let me get caught up. I'm excited for Griffin Claw's bourbon chocolate cannoli beer. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to put that in my calendar right now. November 4th. Oh, it's a Saturday. Oh, that's nice. November 4th. Griffin Claw. Bourbon. Chocolate. Cannoli beer. I'll set it for 10 a.m. Even though I tend to wake up later on Saturdays than 10 a.m. Getting some Terminator vibes. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. The Terminator vibes are just settling in. Have I tried the Winter Oberon? I haven't. I debated bringing some to Waypoint, the LARP I was at this last weekend, but I brought the French Toast Bastard from Founders because I like the kick of that beer, and I don't like drinking a lot of beer in one sitting. I shoot for high ABV beer like this guy because I just like drinking one or two beers. So, yeah, that beer did smell fantastic. Destiny LARP. No, it's not a Destiny LARP. It's high fantasy with a mix of pretty much everything else in the universe. It's really cool. Um, yeah, I'll have to pick up at least a bottle or two of the winter Oberon. I do like Oberon. Let's see. The below elbow amputation level has particular challenges, and the level of functionality achieved marks an important milestone for the field of advanced extremity reconstructions as a whole, said Professor Ricard Brannemark, Associate Professor of Gothenburg University in Sweden and Associate Researcher at MIT. By combining osseointegration with reconstructive surgery, implanted electrodes, and AI, we can restore human function in an unprecedented way. The nerves and muscles in the residual limb were arranged to provide more sources of motor control information to the prosthesis, a complicated surgery done at the Sahlgrenska University Hospital in Sweden by Dr. Paolo Sassu, who previously became the first surgeon to conduct a successful hand transplant in Scandinavia. As joyous as the researchers are for what this does to advance the science of their various fields, Karen says the robotic limb has improved her functionality, increased her independence, and due to the highly advanced integration between her residual limb and her bionic one, has also massively relieved her pain. Today, I need much less medication. For me, this research has meant a lot, as it has given me a better life. Been hesitant to pick up the Winter Oberon. I mean, keep an eye on my Untapped when I have it. I'll maybe pick up a bottle this week, so you can see what I would give it for a review. Yeah, we'll see. If Kyle, Kendra's brother, said he liked it, so could be good. Could be good. I still have some more left in there to top this off. So yeah, to Karen, the first bionic woman, and to everybody involved in this research to integrate prosthetics into a lost limb and the wonders it might be able to create, the wonders it might create in the future. Cheers. Oh, the beer's got legs too. It's so thick. It's actually like grabbing the glass. It has left a permanent mark on that glass. Wow. That's some heavy beer. Oh boy. All right. So, next article, we got ourselves a cancer, fuck cancer article. And I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all want to read along with me. "14-year-old invents soap for treating skin cancer and wins top honor as America's top young scientist." What if washing your hands to prevent getting a simple flu virus was all that was needed to prevent skin cancer? Bold as that sounds, it wasn't an Anderson Center laureate who came up with the idea, but a 14-year-old. Heman Bekele, a ninth grader at W.T. Woodson High School in Annandale, Virginia, was awarded the $25,000 grand prize as the winner of the 2023 3M Young Scientist Challenge, with a melanoma treatment in the form of a bar of soap. As the winner of the nation's premier middle school science contest, now in its 16th year, Bekele has been accorded the prestigious title of America's top young scientist. He explains that his work was spurred on by discovering the recovery rate of melanoma in the U.S. compared to sub-Saharan Africa, 99% to 20%. By combining simple compounds in the soap that kept costs low, he also was able to create a product that stimulates the activity of dendritic cells, which act as protectors of skin cells. The need for scientists and innovators to develop solutions for the world's biggest challenges has never been greater. This year's Young Scientist Challenge finalists have demonstrated the skills required to reimagine what's possible. Intelligence, curiosity, collaboration, and resilience, said John Banovitz, Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of 3M. The magnitude and complexity of the issues these young minds are working to solve is inspiring. Congratulations to this year's finalists. We can't wait to see what you do next. Skin cancer is the most common cancer in the United States, with an average annual treatment cost of $8.1 billion. Inspired by this costly and widespread health issue, Heman developed an affordable soap solution that could positively impact skin cancer outcomes. Over the next 5 years, he hopes to refine this novel innovation and create a nonprofit organization that will distribute this low-cost solution to communities in need. Damn, that could have been a wholesome note. To Heman Bekele, a ninth grader who made a soap to fight cancer. Cheers, young man, and good luck in the future. That is awesome. Alright, so that has bumped us out of Category 2, and we're going to get into Category 3, Flora and Fauna, aka plants and animals. Oh, what did I call this first one? I called this first one, The Buzz About Ditching Pesticides. That's right, we got a bee article. I'll buy him a drink when he's old enough. I'll go and post this in the chat if y'all want to read along with me. Good news for California bees. Once again, my home state doing something right. Good news for California bees. Well, my birth state. Governor signs law to help protect pollinators from toxic pesticides. Yay, bees! Thanks to the persistence of state legislatures and a change of heart from Governor Gavin Newsom, California has passed a new law that will ban over-the-counter sales of lawn and garden I used to know how to say this word. Hold on. Give me a moment. Garden neonicotinoid pesticides by 2025, limiting their use to trained professionals in the heavily agricultural state. AB 363 restricts the sale of the pesticide class, also known as neonics, and directs the Department of Pesticide Regulation to conduct and analyze an analysis of the worst uses of neonics and take necessary steps to prevent environmental damage. Fuzzy stabby butts, words are hard. Words are hard, Fuzz Buzz Army. Words are hard. He's 19. If he's old enough to go to war, he's old enough to... Jeez. Eliza. So, okay. Yeah, words are hard with this one. So these types of pesticides are called neonics, and they are awful. And somewhat indiscriminate with the insects that they kill. So, yeah, you kind of don't want to be taking out your pollinators with that. The bill, authored by Assembly Member Rebecca Bauer-Kahan, also directs the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, or the DPR, to complete a timely and thorough review of non-agricultural neonic uses. It's been 5 years since the EU and the UK banned even farmers from using neonicotinoids, unless the plants were inside of a closed greenhouse. In 2016, Ontario became the first region in North America to ban the neonics pesticides. Thank you very much, Canada. Several U.S. states have limited their use, and companies like Lowe's, Costco, Walmart, and Ortho have promised to phase them out. Talk is cheap. Do it. Oh. I'm thrilled Governor Newsom has signed AB 363 to eliminate harmful pesticides and protect our environment without limiting farmers, said Assemblymember Bauer-Kahan. In addition to being the world's most widely used insecticides, neonics may be the most ecologically destructive pesticides since DDT. And for those of us freedom people who don't remember what DDT did, it almost destroyed our national bird. And several others. Toxic to bees and other insects, once in an environment, neonics can persist in soil for years and are easily carried long distances by rain or irrigation water. Today, neonics extensively contaminate California surface waters. Public health and ecological what the hell just happened over here? I saw it. See, yay, Ontario wins. I live here. I see some other folks shouting. Yep, condors too, among other endangered birds. Hell, it made several birds endangered. So, saying that comparing something to DDT means we probably shouldn't be using that something anymore, considering how fast we got rid of DDT. Ugh. Public health and ecological well-being throughout California are better protected today because of this new law, says Lucas Rhodes with the Pollinator Initiative at NRDC, Natural Resources Defense Council. California joins 9 other states that have curbed neonic pollution in the places where people live and play, taking steps to safeguard the communities and species. While DPR recently completed a reevaluation of agricultural uses of neonics, it neglected to address non-agricultural uses happening right in many Californians' backyards, which contribute to contamination of the state's urban and suburban waters. For this reason, AB 363 will now require DPR to perform a more rigorous review of remaining neonic uses and provide additional mitigation where needed, especially important for California's 1,600 native bee species. Damn! Only time I use heavy chemicals is when they directly compromise my home, specifically targeted and carefully applied. And that's true. There are several pesticides out there that are not that are more targeted, more focused. They don't just slay all insects and arthropods they come into contact with. Neonics are just especially good at destroying whatever arthropod they come into contact with. So, to everybody involved in signing this bill into law and protecting bees from this terrible pesticide that we will hopefully do away with in the near future, cheers. Now, I know we have a few cat lovers in the viewership of Nick's News. So this article is specifically for all of y'all. I called this one Welcome to the Furball Farm. And I'll copy and paste this in the chat if y'all want to read along. Minnesota Cat Sanctuary unveils new outdoor playground for feral rescues. People care about them. A few. Come down and chip in on the farm. The Furball Farm, that is. This is the outdoor cat shelter at Furball Farm in Faribault, Minnesota. The staff and volunteers built this impressive outdoor structure to allow their dozens of feral rescues a place to play and learn to be around humans. You mean my house? Hi, Cassidy. Most of the cats at Furball Farms were once unapproachable and definitely untouchable, CBS reports, but now the majority love human visitors. Founder Julie Maverts, who started the farm in her separate garage 6 years ago, says the outdoors is where most feral cats will have grown up. But allowing them to enjoy nature, wind, sun, and bird song with love, gentleness, and affection has been a great sort of rehabilitation. We will only accept cats from clinics, rescues, impound, and humane societies that are deemed unadoptable due to behavior, the site states. Julie has taken in hundreds of strays and gotten hundreds adopted. Thanks to donations, she's able to provide low-cost spaying and neutering, as well as flea and deworming treatments. Visiting hours are between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m., and the area is kept clean and tidy by a force of volunteers that includes people who work just 2 hours and others who work 20. People care about them. They're not just nuisance cats trying to struggle outside, Maverts said. These guys can enjoy the weather and then go in when they're cold. When they're hungry, they can go in and get food. I think they're going to be a lot happier because they're in their natural environment. Yes, they can't actually leave this area, but it's home. For cats who get the zoomies, there is plenty of space and grass to tear up, while more vertically oriented felines will enjoy the climbing lattices and overhanging catwalks. You can watch the video here. Oh, you can't watch the video here because the shelter has disabled the embedding of videos. However, you can watch the videos on their Facebook page. That is adorable. To Furball Farms in Faribault, Minnesota, and this little wonderful thing you've built. Cheers. All right, Julie sent in this next one, so thank you very much, Julie, for sending this article to us. I called this one, Sometimes the Dog Adopts the Human. And I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all want to read along. Live stream the wholesomeness. Tiny abandoned puppy chases cop down the street and begs to be adopted. Wow. Come on. Cool off now. Come on. What's going on here? Holy shit. I'm going to have to get a new cooling system for my computer here. Because, wow. Something got this sucker riled up. All right. Oh, that's loud. Wow, I didn't know that would be picking that up like that. A little puppy was awestruck after being saved from a life on the streets by a real-life hero. The tiny puppy was aimlessly wandering the streets of Los Angeles, all alone and with no one to take care of him, when he spotted two policemen. The pup decided to ask them for help and stumbled towards them on his tiny feet. When the two policemen, Officer Mercado and Officer Tavera, noticed the puppy, They knew that they had to rescue the poor little sweetheart. He was clearly desperate for someone to protect and love him, and far too young to care for himself. The officers picked the pup up and brought him back with them to the station. In the car ride over, the puppy was cuddled up in the lap of Officer Tavera, and he could not stop staring with adoration at his rescuers. The puppy, nicknamed Hobart, after the street he was found on, was filled with joy and gratefulness, and he was in total awe of Officer Mercado. His tiny little heart was filled to the brim with love for his hero. Hobart was brought to the police station where he was given an honorary canine title. Everyone at the station fell in love with the teensy pup, and Hobart loved all the attention. But at the end of the day, he had his sights set on one special person, Officer Mercado. And luckily for Hobart, Officer Mercado decided to make him the happiest little puppy in the world and adopted him. Little Hobart is now living happily with his personal hero and finally has the safe and loving home he always wanted and deserved. The LAPD shared Hobart and Mercado's sweet story on Twitter, and it's touched many hearts. To Officer Mercado, adopting Hobart the puppy, and to Julie for sending us this article. Cheers. That is adorable. Deputy Doggo reporting for duty. Look, listen, Sean, it's America. Probably. So with that, we're going to move out of flora and fauna, and we're going to move into category 4, those wholesome notes that we like to end on. Julie also sent in our first wholesome note, and it barely made it out of the flora and fauna article to be a wholesome note because it's funny to me. So I titled this one, Bret Michaels Adopts Bret Michaels. If you're not aware of who Bret Michaels is the front runner or the front man for the band Poison, which has been around forever. Gosh. So I will copy and paste this one in the chat if y'all would like to read along. Bret Michaels adopts dog named after him. Dog helped save a 4-week-old kitten with a blood donation. The Nebraska Humane Society recently posted a story about a 6-year-old husky named Bret Michaels, according to Ket V. Poison's frontman, Bret Michaels, heard a story about the dog named after him in Nebraska and reportedly reached out to adopt the animal. The bandana guy. Yes, it is indeed the bandana guy from Poison. 3 kittens were brought into the rescue recently. 2 of the 3 were doing well, but one of them had signs of flea anemia, according to the news outlet. The kitten was wobbly, weak, and lethargic, which, according to the Humane Society, are symptoms of flea anemia. The kitten needed some blood, but transfusions are normally hard for cats because they do not have a universal type of blood. Bret Michaels had his blood work done earlier, and we're talking about Bret Michaels the dog, had his blood work done earlier that day, so he became a candidate to help out the cat. Ket V reported that canine blood can be used for transfusions for cats. That's fascinating to me. I don't have a health and medicine article to go along with that, but that's interesting. The Humane Society said even with the first round of transfusion, the kitten started to show signs of improvement. A round of applause for Bret Michaels, the dog, for being such a calm and brave boy, and to our vet team for their quick thinking. Little man is now on the road to recovery, and Bret Michaels, the dog, is waiting patiently for his forever family, Nebraska Humane Society said on Facebook. The frontman of Poison, Bret Michaels, got word of the dog Bret Michaels' story and contacted the Nebraska Humane Society to adopt him, the Humane Society said, according to Ket V. Word got around to the Bret Michaels, who loved the story and wanted to chat with us. One phone call later, and guess who's going to be living the rock star life from here on out? That's right. Bret Michaels the man is adopting Bret Michaels the dog, Nebraska Humane Society said on Facebook. We can't wait to see how he thrives in his new home. We just hope it doesn't get too confusing when someone tells Bret Michaels to fetch. I could not have been more touched and more honored to adopt Bret Michaels the Husky, knowing that he gave blood to save the life of a kitten, Bret Michaels the human said in a statement to People magazine. I could not work fast enough to adopt this husky and extend the awesome quality of little Bret Jr.'s life. He is currently on his Party Gras tour, according to his website. Bret Michaels the human has experience with huskies, and he's a big fan of them, said Alec Rose, digital marketing manager at NHS, according to KMTV. He's got German Shepherds too, and they can be pretty similar, so right off the bat he was interested in taking him home. The dog, Bret Michaels, is in a foster home until the human Bret Michaels is able to pick him up, the news outlet reported. As for the kitten, who has been given the name Thorn, Nebraska Humane Society says he is doing well. Thorn and his siblings have a few weeks to go before they can get adopted. However, according to KMTV, his adoption fees have already been sponsored. Good boy, Bret. I saw... Yeah, Bret Michaels is going to sing like Bret Michaels. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. That is amazing. So, to both Bret Michaels and Bret Michaels, cheers. And thank you, Julie, for this article. Oh my gosh. Alright, I called this next one, Fast Fabrication Saves an Engagement. Police officer... Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta copy this and paste it in the chat for y'all to read with me. Jeez, I'm jumping the gun here. Jeez, Bret Michaels has got me all turned around. Alright, there we go. Police officers use a metal pole to retrieve a couple's engagement ring after it fell down a sewage drain. Officers in Pittsburgh were hot on the trail of a runaway, but they had to improvise in order to save the day. The caper was an engagement ring that decided to make a break for it through the sewers, but Sergeant Andrew Robinson and Officer Kyle Briggs were not about to be sidestepped so easily. Out on patrol, the two heard a woman saying she had lost her ring down a sewer as they walked down 16th Street. They decided to stop and help the young woman. The officers fabricated a device that consisted of a metal pole found on the street, masking tape, and a paper clip attached to the end. A video released by the police shows one of the officers slowly pulling the metal pipe and the ring attached to it out of the drain. The officers overheard a woman and her fiancé saying she had lost her ring down a sewer that had a tiny hole in the middle, said the Pittsburgh Police Bureau in a statement. The sergeant who was there said it was a 1 in a million shot that it came off her finger and went into the hole. They MacGyvered the hell out of this, Charlie. We don't know the person's name. She and her fiancé were very thankful, jokingly invited them to the wedding, and then drove off in a vehicle with out-of-state plates. All in today's work for Pittsburgh's finest. That is... Jinx. That is fantastic. So, yeah, that's great. I love rapid fabrication. I am an engineer. I especially love, prototyping and things like that. So, and the ingenuity of putting something together. So, to the quick thinking of Sergeant Andrew Robinson and Officer Kyle Briggs in assembling a quick grabber tool to get this ring back. Cheers. Necessity is indeed the mother of invention. Thank you very much, Sean. This last one is very near and dear to me. I'm glad it didn't take me this long to pull it off, but when I read it, I thought, we're going to go with that for our last one for the night. I titled it, It's Never Too Late. And I will copy and paste this in the chat for y'all to read along on our last article of the night here. 72-year-old graduates from college with his 99-year-old mother cheering him on. Sam Kaplan of Lawrenceville, Georgia, has added many items to his resume over the years, but on May 11th, in his 72nd year of life, he added a particularly late-lined item, a college degree. Alongside classmates 50 years his junior, Kaplan crossed the stage in cap and gown to receive an undergraduate degree in cinema and media arts from Georgia Gwinnett College. His 99-year-old mother was there to see it all and cheered as well as she could. Kaplan, who graduated from high school in 1969, had not considered college. He went right into the workforce in various roles. According to the GGC news release, he ran a cleaning service and then a telemarketing company. He worked in customer service for a wholesale distributor of electronics and even drove a taxi part-time. "I'm the first of my 7 siblings to earn a degree," said Kaplan. "I was riding down 316 and heard on the radio that Georgia Gwinnett College was offering a degree that involved script writing. My car seemed to have developed automatic steering, and I pulled off on Collins Hill Road. 5 minutes later, I was registering for the fall semester." It wasn't as easy as one might think, and he at first found it difficult to remember how to study, how to make friends, and all the other skills being a student required. So he committed himself to talking to one student a day, asking about their methods, hopes, and approaches to the class. He no doubt had help and advice from his 5 children, but he also said that his classmates really opened up during those chats, and that helped him excel. He'd always participate and would offer advice and assistance to his classmates, said Kate Balsley, associate professor of film, who taught Kaplan in a number of classes. Sam was always willing to share photos and stories about his interesting life and his family. We're so proud to see him graduate, but we will miss him. With his degree, we'll expect to no doubt see his name in the credit rolls of an independent film in the not-too-distant future. To Sam Kaplan, 72-year-old graduate. Cheers. I may not be as old as him, but being a non-traditional student, when I got my degree, I felt much the same. I was kind of worried being in a class with people who were so much younger than me that I would be outpaced, or, I wouldn't have that same camaraderie that can come from being in a class of your peers. But I was accepted, and everybody offered me as much help as I could offer them, and it was a fantastic experience. And I'm so happy that Sam got a chance to feel that too, and get that degree. So, damn, man, cheers. That is awesome. Well, you should never, Charlie, you should never count anything out. I went back to school when I was 30 and graduated with a tougher degree than what I'd went for the first time. It really is a testament that we can do whatever we want. There are obviously those things that we feel are going to be deterrents or roadblocks. And one of the things that we've got to do is just find ways through those glass ceilings. If it's financial, then it's a matter of looking for the means to looking for the financial means to get past those things. So figuring out scholarships and figuring out what you can apply for, what loans and well, maybe not loans, but what other means of monetary value you can acquire to drop the price of tuition. If it's a business startup, I really want to start a brewery at some point, but I'm going to have to figure out all the logistics behind it. But you know what? I'm going to figure out all the logistics behind it. Whatever you want to set your sights on, You have the capacity to do it. And it may take time. It's going to take time. Everything's going to take time. Just don't lose sight of it. Don't let all the stuff that we go through on a daily basis bury those dreams and make them feel unattainable. They're attainable. Yeah, Sean didn't get his HS till he was 41. So there's hope for all of us to pull off what we want to pull off. If you want to start a food truck, by all means, you're going to be able to start a food truck. Drive it out here to Grand Rapids. God, the food trucks we have parked out here get so much attention. And there's plenty of places to set up shop and just make bank. So, you know, I think that's all we've got for tonight. So I thank you all for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page. Again, we're usually live every other Sunday. I saw some stuff pop up in the chat that completely derailed my outro. Man, y'all got me again. Yeah, Eliza started writing a book that's in proofread. Sean got a fantastic career now because of going back and getting his HS. So never forget your dreams. And when you're ready, go for it. And one little word about that. One little word about that part that I feel a lot of us here that have pulled this kind of crap off will also vibe with is you're never going to feel ready to do the thing. But at some point, you're just going to have to tell yourself you are and pull and go and do it. Never feel like you're not smart enough or talented enough. I couldn't have said it better. When I went back to school for engineering, I had told myself for years, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school. And it didn't happen, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen. And then it was like one day I just told myself, why don't I just call? Why don't I call? What is keeping me from calling? Literally nothing in the world was keeping me from making that phone call but me. And I made the phone call to Grand Valley, and I said, hey, I was a student a while ago. I dropped out. I want to know, how do I come back? And they said, oh, that's no problem. Let's set up you coming in and talking to us. And in the meantime, register for classes. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, what are you going to go into? And I said engineering. They're like, okay, apply for a change of degree, because I see your degree was biology, or it was natural resource management at the time. And you're going to need to sign up for this, and this course right away. And then come on in and we'll help you build out the rest of your schedule. And I'm like, just like that? And they're like, yeah, just like that. So, Ben just said, grab the bull by the bits and hold on tight. Sean wasn't ready to be a father, trusted his wife, and now he's got a 7-year-old. You will never feel like you are ready. But that day is going to arrive when you ask yourself why you haven't done the thing. And when that day comes, do the thing. Whatever it is to start you on that path to whatever you're going to do. And your life, it will be one of the best decisions you've made in your life. So, all right. With that being said, we'll get into our outro. I thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page. Again, we're live every other Sunday. Our next episode, though, I'm not sure if the next episode is going to be on November 5th or November 6th. November 5th happens to be my brother's birthday. Also, might have some things scheduled for that day right now, so still figuring out if I'll be doing my next episode on the 5th. If we're not, then it's going to be on the 6th, so the next Monday. I encourage participation. So if you feel inclined, you can message or post suggestions for news brews, for shout outs, news quotes, and even good articles that you find that we can present on future episodes. If possible, I do always appreciate a variety of articles spread out across the categories. And again, those 4 categories, to reiterate, are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and those wholesome notes, those really nice ones we like to end on. So, as always, thank you again. I love you all. And have a great night. And I will play us out.